Okay, so I'm back doing a daily market analysis. And this scroll bar is supposed to keep running right across. I have no idea why it's not doing that. So I decided to jump in a little bit earlier just to have a chat with everyone. If you are joining me, if you're on the session, I do have another screen right on the side. So if you're joining me on the session, drop me a message, whether you're on YouTube or on TradingView. Drop a comment, drop a message, let me know that it all works. Let me know that it all works. Let's see. Okay, seems like the mic is moving and yep, okay. Seems like it's all working, so let's go on. So what I'll do here every day, I'm trying to do this every day at 3 p.m. I will be jumping onto TradingView stream and also onto YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, drop a message and say hi, where I'll be sharing with you my views, ideas, thoughts on the daily market analysis, whether it's the FX pairs, whether it's the commodities or in cryptocurrencies. Okay, so I will be looking at the fundamentals, some technicals, and then also possible trade setups. So if you do have any questions at any point in time, please feel free, put it into the chat, let me know. I am trying to juggle between two screens, but let's see how I handle that. Okay, so as usual, before we get started, a quick disclaimer is that any information contained in this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. I truly believe that you should learn before you earn. So take this more as educational, take this as a view towards building the understanding. You see how I set up my trades, how I look, how do my analysis, then learn that method, apply it to maybe a back testing method, do a demo account first, or try it out. So learn before you earn. And then also do remember that I do tend to get through, or I will get through many different currency pairs, many different setups as well. So please remember that your objectives, financial situation, and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness for your circumstances. So it's all about leverage, it's all about risk, it's all about psychology. Don't jump into all the trades. It will come to a point where you will have to prioritize the trade, know which ones could happen first, which ones you're looking for later. So manage your leverage. Jumping into all the trades will definitely get you over leverage. Manage your risk. All the trades again will get you over risking on your capital. So remember 2% at a total exposure. And then also if you jump in too many trades, psychology is going to go out the window. Okay. Lastly, second lastly, DYODD, do your own due diligence. This contents of this webinar not intended to be a recommendation to trade a product. I'm not working with anyone at this point, so I don't benefit from you over trading or jumping to all kinds of trades. Please make sure that whatever I share with you, do your own due diligence before you jump into any trades. Okay, make sure it fits with your own trading strategy. Make sure it fits with your trading method before you jump into a trade. Hey, Namenia, I hope I got your name right. Thank you for joining me on the session. Let me see, anyone else on this side? Okay, we have a couple of things happening on YouTube as well. Okay, good for all of you to be joining me. So please remember, disclaimer applies, and let's get started. Okay, get rid of that. So if you don't know how I trade in particular, what I do a little bit differently, or a lot differently from a lot of other traders out there, I do look at the news a lot. I pay attention to the fundamental news first, get an idea of where prices could be heading towards before I do jump into the trades or jump into the charts, looking at whether price is moving to where I think it should be. Then after that, I'll start looking at possible trade setups. Okay, so just a quick review of what has happened since last night until today. Okay, so today we are in 1st of March, brand new month already. But last night we did have the Canadian GDP month on month. A little bit disappointing, was a 0.1%. Expected to come out at a 0%, came out at a minus 0.1. So a little bit disappointing there on the Canadian dollar. And you can see here on the US CAD as that news was released. Where was it? No, we're the 1st of March here. Timings are off. Okay. Let me see, what time was that? At 9:30. So you can see at 9:30 here, because of that disappointing GDP number from the Canadian GDP, we actually saw weakness in the Canadian dollar, which is why we saw this push towards the upside, right? This push towards the upside on the US CAD. In addition to that, what we actually saw last night was the consumer sentiment or consumer confidence for the US dropping quite significantly. I was a bit surprised here. It was 107.1, expected 108.5. So I was actually expecting that 108 level, came out at 102.9. Right? So again, at 11, relatively bad news for the US. And on the dollar index, you can see here at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m., we actually saw the dollar drop below that 104.60 level, test a little bit lower before retracing back up. Okay, so again, that was the two big news that we had last night: Canadian GDP and the US consumer confidence number. Okay, what else do we have today? Just early this morning at 8:30 a.m., Australian CPI data year-on-year. Australian year-on-year CPI inflationary data was 8.4%, expected 8.1, came out at a 7.4. Okay, came out at a 7.4. While this is a red number, while it looks like it's bad news for the Australian, it's not actually a bad news, right? It's not actually a bad news, because Australia's inflation right now, look at it, is at 7.4%. The RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, is actually working towards bringing inflation down to that 2 to 3% level. Right? They're working to take it down to that 2 to 3% level. So for price or for inflation or CPI to drop from an 8.4 to an 7.4%, that's actually, despite the rate number, is actually a good news. Right? It's relatively good news for the Australians, because it's showing that the recent or the rate increases coming from Australia or from the RBA has taken or is taking effect. In fact, I'll show you here. You can see that since January or January 11th, 25th, we actually saw CPI increasing, right? We actually saw CPI increasing, and that's why we actually seen the RBA continue to increase interest rates in Australia. Let me just fix my chair. All right, so that's why we saw rate increases in Australia. Now at 7.4%, this shows again the potential, right? Potentially that the RBA's rate increases is taking effect, right? That is taking effect, and that's why we actually saw on the release of the news at 8:30. Okay, it shot down. In fact, I'll go to the M15 time frame and show you that. At 8:30, it got released, and then it just went straight up, right? It went straight up. First reaction is always going to be down, because it is a red number. Most people will jump into it straight away thinking, red, bad news, sell the Aussie. But what happened was it dropped, hit a key support level. Again, you saw the support here from Monday. It hit a support level, and then it bounced straight back up. right? It bounced straight back up, and possibly coming towards that 6781. Why? Is because inflation is dropping, right? Inflation has just dropped from a 8.4 to a 7.4. RBA rate increases is taking effect. What we're going to see, or what we possibly is going to see, is more rate increases to come from the RBA. Okay, so that's why anticipating more increases to come from the RBA. That's why we see the Aussie dollar jumping. But rate increases is not just a one-time thing. Right? Rate increases does not just work alone. It also does end up affecting GDP. Right? You can see GDP went from 0.6 revised up to 0.7, and it dropped to a 0.5. As interest rate increases, we're going to see slowdowns in economic activity. Right? Why so? Is because what happens is that interest rate increases, it makes it more attractive for investors, for businesses, for most market participants to put their money into the bank, a risk-free investment, rather than looking towards investing into businesses or into the markets or into buying more things. So that's why GDP, or economic activity, in Australia has dropped to that 0.5%. Okay, so your question will be, why, although GDP dropped, we saw the Aussie dollar going up? It's the anticipation for further rate increases to come from the RBA, and it's not that far away. Okay, if I just fast forward this to next Tuesday, we do already have the interest rate decision to come from the RBA. Okay, so it's not that far away. Most recent data is going to be a big impact, could influence, or most likely going to influence, the RBA into further rate increases. Following on from that, we did have the Chinese PMI, manufacturing and non-manufacturing PMI, and also the Caixin manufacturing PMI data from the Chinese, all back in, or still in that expansionary phase, but you can see that it's actually not jumped up that much. Okay, this is also another reason why we saw, or why we are seeing, that Aussie dollar push towards upside. Biggest trading partner with Australia is China, despite their differences at some points in time. But trading partner doing better in an expansionary phase, that's going to lead to more demand. More demand is going to lead to further upside, or potentially further upside, for the Aussie dollar. So following on from that, pretty much not a lot of news for, well, a lot of news, but not a lot of big impact news for the rest of the day. Okay, so we're now at 3:05 p.m. We do have the Swiss with their retail sales data to be released. We have the Eurozone PMI data to be released as well. And you can see why this is all yellow, and I'm not talking too much about it. It's because PMI data going from 48.4 to a 49, 49.3 to a 50, not a big change expected there. So I'm not anticipating big price movements to come from the PMI data for the Eurozone and also for the UK. We do have a rate news, high impact news here, where the Bank of England's Governor Bailey is speaking. But I don't think this will be a big news effect again, because he is speaking at a cost of living crisis conference. Not likely to be a policy changing event, not likely to cause big price movements on the dollar, on the pound dollar. Okay, just want to make sure everything's going all right. So what else do we have for today? We do have the ISM manufacturing PMI data to come from the US. Again, you see not a big change expected here. So I'm going to be aware of the news. Right? I'm going to be aware of the news, but I'm not likely to be expecting a big move to come from this news event. Okay, so that's the news for today. Looking into tomorrow, again, not a lot of news for tomorrow. We do have core CPI flash estimates For the Eurozone, looking to stay at that 5.3, CPI flash estimates year on year at that 8.3% expectation. If that does come out that way, we could see, further confidence for the ECB to raise rates. But that's at 6 p.m. tomorrow. We'll catch up again tomorrow at 3 p.m. to tell you about that news event. All right. So with that, let's look into the charts. I'll clear out the dollar index first. Oh, wait, before I do that, what I want to share with you all is if you haven't already, I think if you're jumping on this stream here on TradingView, you probably have, but if you haven't already, I'll put this link into the chat and also here onto YouTube. All right, do jump on, click subscribe, click follow. I don't actually know what you're going to have to click. Okay, click subscribe or follow. And then what happens is that I am writing these analysis on a daily basis now again. I used to do that. I've stopped for a while and I'm get back to it. All right, so you get a view of this before even this session at 3 p.m. So I was looking at the Aussie dollar, potentially trading lower, but it does need to test up. It's all written, most of it is written there, but we'll go through more details as we look into it during this webinar session. So now looking at the dollar index, okay, I'm looking at it on H1 time frame because I am going to be looking at this on a daily basis. So just to give you a live update, one thing to look at is as I zoom out, you can see that we do have, if I just consider the tail, we do have an upward trend. But if I put it to the body, right, you can see that it's actually formed quite a good upward trend line. I'll take that away for now. What I want to look at or want you to pay attention to is that support level there at that 104 about 104.50 level. Okay, 104.50. I do think that the dollar, with the way it's moving, could come down towards 104.50 to test that support level, which we saw last night. We saw it test last night. In fact, if we went down, it could be about even 104.40, right at that tail there. Okay, so I think that the dollar could come down. Recent high at that 105.35 level. That's my resistance level. Okay, so we're looking at this possibly going to come down to test this level. Why it's a possibly good trading scenario for today is that we don't have big news events coming out. We're not likely to see big surprises or big fluctuations, spikes and surges in price. I think that for how much the dollar has been pushing up, a good retracement towards the downside is going to be healthy for that upward move, right? So long as it doesn't break below this 104.40 level, okay? If it does break below this point, then we do have a big key support here, right? Why I say a big key support is because it's tested over those couple of times, right? Over those couple of times where it tested, failed to break, and then bounced off. So I'm looking for the dollar to come down towards 104.41 and then possibly trade down. If it breaks below that point, possibly trade down towards 103.76 or 103.80. Okay? Any questions so far? Alrighty, good stuff. Okay, so with that, could we see? So I'm looking for this move towards the downside. Okay, I'm looking for this move towards the downside on the dollar index because of no news, because we're seeing some strength on the Aussie, some strength right across the board or anticipated strength. So I'm looking for this move down towards the 104.40 level. With this as a overview or as a thought, all right, that is going to influence all my other currency analysis, all my other analysis. I'm anticipating for the dollar weakness, we're going to see most other currency pairs trade towards the upside. Make sense so far? All right. So with that, then let's look at the Kiwi dollar. All right. I wrote about the Kiwi dollar already just this morning. So if you were subscribing, when I wrote that news analysis, it was right at that 0.62 level. It was trying to break that 0.62 level. And you can see I said they form a double bottom at the overnight level with no major news, looking for it to, where is it? I can't read. Look for the price to form a break of the resistance to signal further upside potential to the next key resistance of 6262. And what do we have now? It's broken above that resistance level. It's climbing up towards, looks like it could get to 6262. It's currently at 623, about 6230. Okay, 6230. So what I'll do as well, let me just do something different here. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, so we have the dollar index. I'll keep this open here. I'll take that away, and we have the all Kiwi there. Okay, so what I'll do is, as much as I will be sharing with you, my thoughts and ideas, I'll write it up here as well. Okay, so let's say that we're looking at the dollar DXY weakness, a bit of a summary, all right, to 104.4T. Check that out. Okay, so expecting the dollar weakness. Looking at the Kiwi dollar here on the H1 time frame, great if you would have entered there. You'd be looking at buying up towards 0.6262, good almost 60 pips move. Stop loss about 20 pips towards the downside below that support or resistance turn support level. You'd be looking at almost a 1:3 risk reward ratio towards upside. But failing which, right now it's already halfway up. I would say just be extra careful. Why? It's because you can see all that tails and spikes and consolidation around this level, right? Around this level where it's approaching that 0.6240 level. So it's coming very close. Too late to get into a trade on the Kiwi dollar now, right? Too late to get into a trade on the Kiwi dollar now. What I'll be looking for is a push towards that resistance, especially if the dollar continues dropping, a push towards that resistance to test that 6262 level. Anticipating the dollar to come down, sit here, and possibly bounce back up. What I'll be looking for is, first move was towards upside. I would actually be looking for selling opportunities from 6262. Right? We already saw it happen here on the 20th of Feb last month, and again on the 21st where it tested, failed to break higher, and then broke down. Okay. In fact, if I drew this right across, you can see that it broke. Once it broke, it came down quite strongly. So in this case, what I'll be looking for here is selling opportunities on the Kiwi dollar. Show you an example here where you'll be looking at about 62. You can be safe and say below 6250. So you're looking for that test and reject. You're looking at a 20 pip stop loss. You're looking at a 40 to 50 pip take profit, a 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the downside on the Kiwi dollar. Okay, so I'll add to that and say that NZD, USD, looking for, well, buy property, looking for rejection of 0.6262 to sell down. Okay, so we'll put this list here for anything that we find interesting coming around. Let's put in the date to that as well. First. Okay, so that's the Kiwi dollar. Too late to enter now. If you are looking at this on a smaller time frame, like on the M15, then I would say, maybe you want to consider buying it up, but you would have to manage it quite closely. I'm not a big fan at this point unless it breaks above this level, the 6240 level. All right, unless it breaks above this point, then you would say, okay, can I do a quick 15-minute scalp towards upside, take profit about almost 20 pips, stop loss very tight, a 1:2 risk reward ratio towards upside on the M15. Okay, it's not entirely certain that it's worth the risk. I would rather be looking for it to test the resistance and then reject, and I'll look for that sell side. I did not get into this trade straight away. I actually got in 1 hour because I was a little bit late to that. I got in 1 hour after at about 12:30 ish. So about that 6210 level. So I got in at 6210. I did close out my trade just before this call, just because I didn't want to be watching my trade and jumping on the call at the same time. Okay, so made money on this Kiwi dollar towards the upside. All good so far. Any questions? Super, super. Okay. So with that, then we look at the Aussie dollar. Move this down a little bit. All right, Aussie dollar doing the same thing. In fact, I did jump into a quick scalp as well at 675. Wait, 6753. Right, so this was on the 1 minute time frame, just to share with you what kind of trades I got into. 6753. 6753 was about, well, down, way down there. Okay, yep. 6753. Yeah, looking at my MT4. Okay, I got in right about that point there. So about that point there, I traded it up to that 6765 level. Okay, so this was a trade that I did on the smaller time frame, 6753, 6765 to that upside there. Just a quick scalp. My stop loss was below this point at about 10 pips. All right, so a 1:1 risk reward ratio towards the upside there. Same thing, closed out before the call. Quite happy I did that because it is retracing back down now. So looking at this on the H1 time frame, very similar picture to the Kiwi dollar where we actually saw it trade towards upside. Another thing to add for the Aussie is that it broke above. Look at this trend line, bearish trend line, rejected, 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 and now on the H1 time frame, it broke above. It broke above that level. I do think that we could see the Aussie turn towards that 6780 level, right? Could climb to a 6780. Despite it retracing a bit, I think it could retrace before turning back up. And the same thing with the Kiwi, too late to get into this trade now. And in fact, although I am possibly expecting some possible for the upside, it is going to be a bit risky because we are still looking at what's going to happen to the dollar. All right, we could see this drop towards that 104.40 level. Could see the Aussie dollar push up towards that 6780. But if the dollar bounces, then we'll see this reverse back down, conflicting with the view that we're anticipating further rate increases to come from the RBA. So because of that, I would say that if you missed that first move towards the upside, or the first and second move towards upside on the Aussie dollar, possibly a good time to stay away. It's right in the middle. See what happens to that resistance level at 6780 before looking for a trade. Okay, so I would stay neutral on this. You do have a good idea on the Kiwi dollar already. Okay, so Aussie, USD, no trade. Okay, alrighty. Just checking to make sure all is good. Hey, JNB, it is. Oh, I'm gonna try and make it a regular. I'm gonna try and make this a regular webinar, 3 p.m. I'll go through the different pairs or in a bit more detail and see where we could help you get set up leading into the Euro Open, London's Open, the Euro Open, into the midst of it, right? Right into the market moving times. Okay, thanks for joining me here, Jan B. Good to see you. All right, so looking for this, it is retracing, so I'm still looking for this to push up to test that 6780 resistance level. With that said about the Aussie dollar, look at the US yen, right? US yen, if I squeeze this down a little bit, you can see that I was talking about this since Monday, that is trading within the range on Monday. And then I was looking for that breakout. It broke up. I missed this trade. I missed the move. It shot up. Couldn't sustain a move towards the upside. We know why, because of that dollar. And then that big retrace back down, also because of that dollar weakness. So right now, the US yen was trading within that range between around that 13630 level, right? Trading within that range. It's broke up to about 137, broke down to 135.75. Still yet to find a clear direction, right? Still yet to find a clear direction. No trade unless it breaks towards that 137, breaks above 137, or breaks below 135.75. It does look like if we see that dollar weakness continue, right? The dollar weakness continue, that's going to push the US yen down. Might give us a good setup, right? So I would be looking for this to come down, test 135.75. If it fails to break that support, then you could be looking for a buy towards back up, right? So about 30 pip stop loss here. Yen is just a bit more volatile. So about 135.90, up about 100 pips, almost 100 pips towards that 137 level. All right, so I'm looking for either this move up. So let's update this. USD JPY, USD JPY, buy from 135.90 or buy from, okay, or if it doesn't drop, right, if we see it sit right in a consolidation, I'll be looking for it to break above that 137 level and climb to my recent all-time high of 138. All right, so if I zoom right out, even jump to the H4 time frame, you can see that 138 was a good level where it tested and rejected straight down. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for here. Either buy from 135.90 or look to buy above 137. can be a bit safer there, say 137.10.10. Again, almost 100 pip take profit. Again, about a 30 to 40 pip stop loss. A 1 is to almost 2.5 risk reward ratio towards the upside. So 137.10, or from 137.10. Okay, so you can see my buyers overall, Kiwi looking for that rejection. If we see the dollar strength come back into play, US yen pushing towards the upside just because of that yen weakness driving prices higher, and possibly that dollar strength coming back into play again. All right, all good. Okay, fantastic. Let me just check something. Okay, good stuff. So that's the Kiwi dollar, that's the Aussie dollar, and that's the US yen. Done. I heard something pop up. Hang on. All right. With that, next is the pound dollar. I'm so excited about the pound dollar. So excited about pound dollar. Things to note here. Why has the pound dollar shot up so strongly on Monday and then again on Tuesday, testing that resistance of 1.2150, rejecting, and now looks like it's going back up again. Okay, there has been, on Monday there was the rumor that a deal would be reached for the Northern Ireland border, right? Opening the Northern Ireland border to the UK. So I don't know the details of that trade agreement, but this arose because of Brexit, right? Because of Brexit, it closed off major, not transport, major logistic channel for the UK. So that rumor came around. We saw the big push towards upside because it settles a big concern for the UK. And then last night or yesterday, it was agreed. The deal was agreed, that they're going to open up the channel, open up the border for the transport and labor movements and transport of produce. So that's why we saw that big push towards the upside. One more key thing to look at is also, we saw that big downward trend line on the pound dollar pushing prices lower. Once it broke above, it's found it as a support, it's found it as a support again. So now we're seeing this push up again. I spoke about this, or I shared about this here, looking for this to push higher. Spoke about it when it was at 1.2040, right? Wrote about this, sorry. And right now it's at 1.2060, 20 pip move towards upside. Not too late. Not too late to get into a possible trade here. Two things to consider. Okay, two things to consider is that one, there is a little bit of a resistance here at about that 12070 level. Okay, bit of a resistance because it saw it test on Thursday last week, test and reject. Very recently, yesterday, we saw it test and reject. Right now, it's tested that level. Can we see it break through? If it breaks through, fantastic. You could be looking for a buying opportunity. You can play a bit safer, about 1.2080. Take profit about 60 pips. Stop loss about 30 pips. Right? A 1:2, almost 1:2 risk reward ratio towards the upside there on the pound dollar. However, if it rejects and turns down, then what you're going to see is a head and shoulder formation, right? A head and shoulder formation, which is going to signal further or a rejection or a correction towards the downside. Okay, so just be extra careful right now. Not ready to get into that trade, not ready to jump in yet. It does need to close above 1.2070, possibly at 1.2080. You can be looking for that buying opportunity, which it looks like we're coming very close. Might be towards the end of this candle, right? So watch out for that. So again, BBP USD, watch for potential head, head and shoulder, looking to buy above 1.2080. Okay, so that's the view on the pound dollar, driven higher not so much because of well, one is because of the dollar weakness that we're still seeing, right? The dollar weakness, which we are still seeing pushing down towards that 104.40 level, but also spurred on because of that deal, or the agreed deal on the Northern Ireland border. Okay, so looking at that potentially for the pound dollar. Next up, euro dollar. All right, euro dollar pushing higher. At that point, I said I was still going to trade within this range. I feel that the euro dollar is being dragged up, one by the pound and also by that weakness in the dollar. It is very close, 1.0617 or 62. 1.062 is very close to the 1.064 level. Not worth trying to scalp this towards the upside. With the momentum that seems to be building on the euro, what I'll be looking for in this case will be if it breaks above 1.064. Right, 1.064, looking for that upward move. You can see that if I drag this right across again, once it breaks above, we can see a big upward move. So be very patient here. Upward move on the euro, about 1.0650. Take profit 50 pips because it's broken a resistance. You could have about a 20 pip stop loss, a 1:2.5 risk reward ratio towards the upside on the euro dollar. Needs to break above that resistance level first, right? And as we are talking, you can see here the euro dollar retracing a little bit, again forming a bit of the head and shoulder pattern. Needs to break above this point, and especially that resistance level. Okay, so that is the upward move on the euro dollar expected. So 1.064. So let's say that euro USD buy above. Ooh, why am I doing it all in caps? Buy above 1.0650. Okay, 650, correct. Okay, towards that 1.07 resistance, round number resistance level. Fantastic. I like to see it test that level before possibly retracing back down. Whatever it is, whatever happens after that, I'm not going to be so bothered. I just want to see this break that resistance and then trade towards that upside. Any questions so far at this point? Let me just do a quick check across the board. Okay, again, if you do have any questions, do feel free, put it into the chat, let me know. So that's the euro dollar. Next on the US Swiss franc. Look at that. I haven't written an analysis for this, but you can see, what is that? Change this. Right, a good, very good double top. Tested, rejected, tested, rejected. Right, a double top formed here on the US Swiss franc H1 time frame, being traded lower because of that weakness on the dollar index, not ready to sell yet. Okay, not ready to sell because I would be looking for it to break. You can see that it failed and they only had a big drop only after it broke below that round number 0.94. Hold your horses, wait for it to break below 0.94 before selling down towards that 0.9346 level or 0.9340 level. Okay, not a big move expected here. Also, because you can see this has been a big upward trend. So if it does drop, I think that it'd be a short-term counter trend move towards the downside. Okay, so I'll be looking for a selling opportunity, say about, look for the candle to close 9394 or 9390. Stop loss about 16, 15, 20 pips, I would say. Take profit about 45 pips, 1 to 2. Risk reward ratio towards the downside there on the US Swiss franc. Price needs to close below that support or current support level. Okay, something's wrong with my nose. So US Swiss franc, we're going to sell if price breaks below, what was it again? 0.94. 0.94. Okay, so that's the US Swiss franc towards the downside. So now one more is the US CAD. Right, as we spoke about this, the news release last night, GDP number, we saw the US CAD push towards the upside, again forming that, let me just take all this away for now, again forming that double top to show that potential bearish push. But I'm not keen on this. Why? It's because we do have a double top form there. Okay, but that near-term support level is at 1.3560, right? So it's right in the middle there. If you waited a little bit longer just to be safe and look to sell down below 1.3590 or below 1.36, forming there, it's only a small move towards the downside, right? A very small move towards the downside. So I would say give it a skip, miss the US CAD, possibly not worth trying to jump into or to force out a trade at this point. Okay, so USD CAD, no trade. Okay, so if you look at this, just wanted to share with you this as well, is if you look at this, we've looked through the dollar, giving us that overview of where we think prices could be heading, looking at that weakness towards 1.104.40. We're looking at the Kiwi dollar for the rejection. We're looking for the US yen. So this is Kiwi dollar to reject and 6262 and sell down, right? Means that it needs to first move up higher, reject and turn down. Okay, so straight away that's going to give you the view that it's not something that's going to happen quickly. It's not something that's going to happen quickly. Same thing on the US yen, right? US yen, we're looking for this right now, still consolidating. Is it going to trade lower or break towards upside? Needs to bounce off a level. Again, not something that's going to happen quickly. And then the pound dollar, looking for a potential head and shoulder as a rejection, as something to be aware of, but I'm still looking to buy if it goes above that 1.2080. And you can see that it's actually quite close. Okay, so if I'm ranking this, I would rank the US yen and the Kiwi dollar probably a bit lower because we do need to move quite a bit more before we can look for that trade. And the Kiwi dollar would be a counter trend trade. We have to reject the resistance and turn down. The US yen would be, if it bounces down, it trades lower and bounces, needs a bit of time. If it trades up and breaks that resistance, same thing, needs a bit of time as well. So I'm ranking those two a bit lower, ranking the pound dollar quite high. Sorry, I'm just going to fix my nose a bit. Right, so I'm ranking the pound dollar quite high because it is quite close. It is at that 1.2059 or 1.2060, 20 pips more. We have 20 minutes more. Could it come close towards closing above that interim resistance, break above, we could see the upward move. Okay, so I'm ranking the pound dollar quite high. Euro dollar buy if it breaks above 1.065. So euro dollar if it breaks above 1.065, possibly looks like it's going to happen, not straight away. So pound dollar will be first, euro dollar possibly second. Euro dollar might be a move later into the session today, right? It does need a bit of time. Could be a later into the session today. We're going to see that push towards upside. So pound dollar first, euro dollar second, Kiwi and yen a bit later. US Swiss franc. So we're looking at the Swiss franc to sell if it breaks below 0.94. Right at that level. So I would say US Swiss franc possibly even before pound dollar. Now US Swiss franc and pound dollar would be equal because it is right at that decision level, coming very close, just needs that last push before we're going to see. So this is how you would schedule or prioritize your trades, right? You go through the analysis, you rank it or you find levels where you could see price react, and then you rank it based on which one you think could happen faster or slower. Okay, so what I have now, pound dollar, US Swiss franc at that point, and then after that, the euro dollar next. I have, of course, with that said, I have also entered the Kiwi dollar and the Aussie dollar earlier today as well. Okay, so I've technically done my trades for today, but if we see a move on the pound or on the euro or the Swiss franc, it would be another good trade to get into. Sure, euro dollar. Any questions on the euro dollar in particular? So euro dollar is actually climbing. It's climbing quite nicely. In fact, I'm actually keen. So MHK, right? You got a question on the euro dollar. The view is that it is trading within, or has been trading within, that 1.0535 and 1.0640 level, between this range, with the anticipation that the dollar index is going to weaken down towards the 104.40 level. That's going to push the euro dollar towards upside, right? And this is what we're seeing now. In addition to that, the deal for the UK could also, working out something on Brexit could be something beneficial for the UK and could translate to the Eurozone as well. So that's why I'm anticipating this move. Test that 1.0640 level, breaks above 1.0650 to trade up towards that round number of 1.07. Thank you, Tamin Haider. Thank you, Signal Mark. Right, do help me click that rocket button, right? That little rocket button boost thing. I'm not sure how it helps, but I'll be happy if it helps something. Right, so everyone who's watching, you like the session, you like all the information, you find it useful and interesting, help me out, click that like or that rocket button. Doesn't cost anything, but it should be quite beneficial. All right, so that was the majors. I do pay attention to the majors. If you have any questions on any particular pairs, put it into the chat. Let me know. Um, these are some of the crosses. I'm not going to look at that. I am going to look at the gold. All right. So as most of you know, I am trading on the prop. I am trading a prop challenge now, and I'm doing that solely on gold. Right. I'm doing that solely on gold. Just trying to build a different approach. Right. It's getting quite, I mean, fun and interesting on FX. I've been doing that for a long time, but I'm just trying to focus one avenue on gold. And you can see here, if I zoom out, gold has been trading strongly towards the downside, found a very good support here at that 1806 level, right? As low as 18, what's that? 1804. Sorry, my nose is going mad on me today. Okay, 1804.90 level. Found a very good support there. I would actually prefer to highlight 1806 or oh 07, in fact. Right? I like this level just because it's tested a bit more, fake break, and then bounce back up. Big move towards the upside. No surprises why gold has been pushing up. It's because of the dollar index. Right? That big drop on the dollar index, we saw gold push upwards. For gold, I tend to scalp on gold. I don't trade um, medium term. I do scalping trades on gold. So I'm not going to share with you my scalping trades because within that move I had easily 10 trades trading that upwards. Okay, so just um, take that. But now looking at this, I do note a level here at 1846, right, as a good resistance. This is a good support level. So 1846 as a good resistance level. I also like that it has broken, right, resistance turns support this point. And if I zoom out, you can see that this was a good support level in Feb, where we found a good support, and again at the end of Feb, tested and rejected. Right now, looking like it's breaking higher. Just be extra careful. It hasn't shown a clear break yet. Um, for it to be a clear break, I would say it needs to go above 1837. Right, it needs to go above 1837. Those noisy bits over there, right? Those noisy bits over there. So what I'll be doing, I'll be looking for, and I'll show you just one big trade, but I'll probably end up breaking this into many trades. Is above 1837, a big push towards 1846 or almost 1847, stop loss at about 1831, right? So you're looking at a 1:1.6 risk reward ratio. This is also why I tend to avoid doing long term. Right, either do super long term trades on the euro, on the gold, or do super short term. Based on the way I've back tested and tried it out, the medium term kind of trades, what happens is you tend to get caught by volatility, right? You tend to get spiked out and towards upside or downside. So either you do it for the super long term or the super short term, which is where I'll be looking. If it breaks above 1837, then I'll be looking to scalp it up towards the 1846 level. Okay, so gold. Oh, where's my thing? I used the wrong one. Okay, here we go. So again, back to this gold, upside above 18. Forgot what was it again. Upside above 1837. Okay, I'll be looking for that as a scalping. All right. Thank you, start there. I appreciate that. Anyone else with a question or comment? In particular, I look forward to any comments or feedback that you guys have. Please put it into the chat. Let me know. Anything I can try and do better for you guys, help you out, guide you through your own trades. Put it into the chat and let me know. Okay, you can see gold rejected that downward move, pushing higher, looking like it's setting up quite nicely. With that said, let me do a quick check. It's 3:52 right now, so 8 more minutes before the end of the candle, and we can see pound climbing up to almost towards where we want to get into that trade. Okay, almost towards where we want to get into that trade. So it could be a good setup or good entry upwards. Euro dollar, still a fair bit away. Wait for that. Swiss franc breaking, so it's already, if you were looking at that trade, what's happening? If you are looking at that trade, we could see this trade down, breaking that level towards the downside. How fantastic would this be if, given the first daily market analysis session we're doing, and we're making money straight away through the trade analysis. Right? We're so far on the Swiss franc, possibly going to be trading lower, making money. Pound dollar approaching our entry level. Euro dollar possibly later in the evening. Okay, and gold not there yet. Just be extra careful. I would say possibly into the next hour, not right now. Right, it's just forming the indecision. Right, if I zoom in a bit, so it's forming the indecision. Especially if it closes like that in 6 minutes, it might be quite. You have to wait for the next hour to close. Okay. Hang on a second. So with that, okay, what else are we looking at? Any requests? Anything you want me to look at? If not, then I'll look at. Those of you who know me well, I don't normally look at crypto. I'm trying to formulate that idea, the analysis on cryptocurrencies. Firstly, looking at the total market cap to give a bit of a view of where prices could be heading. Right, more as market caps increases, we're going to see prices increases right across the board. Right now, testing that resistance level. So if you do have any views, I'm quite new to analyzing crypto. I'm fully basing this on technical levels. Do let me know. I'll share with you what I said about this the last time around. All right, so I was saying that failed to break. If sentiment continues to weaken, look for it to break below the 1T mark for cascade lower. But what you're seeing here is that it didn't break below, it bounced off. Right, if I zoom right out, you can see it's bounced off. So I do think we might see a big push towards the upside on Bitcoin, on Ethereum. Tell me, put in the chat what other cryptocurrencies I should be looking at. If market liquidity or the total market cap breaks above this 1.045 level, we're going to see that big push towards the upside. If we see that big push towards the upside, take all that away, you're going to see same thing, right? Bitcoin needs to break above that 23,900 level, right? 23,900, break above that resistance, and then we could see a big upward push, possibly back towards that 24,500 level. Okay, a good support level here at about 29 or 23,000. Let me just highlight that one instead. That's the immediate level at 23,000. Okay, and similar for Ethereum. So once you look at the market cap, it gives you a bit of a view overall, and then we're looking for this to break up. If it doesn't break and reverses, then you have that double top formation pushing prices lower. Okay, so went through a lot of different pairs, a lot of different ideas. We do have our summary sheet here. Okay, we do have our summary sheet here where we're looking at dollar weakness down towards that 104. Look at that big drop, which means that my gold is in play. Gold is in play. US Swiss franc is in play, and the euro dollar is coming very close. So we have these three in play, or coming close and in play at this moment. Right, Aussie dollar coming up to test that resistance. I wish I didn't close out before this session, but I'd rather focus on the session. Kiwi dollar still pushing higher, but not worth entering. Wait for it to test that resistance before turning back down. So again, summary sheet, there it is. With the way the dollar is moving, looks like a very big, strong push. Is there news? No new release on news. Okay, so with the way it's pushing towards the downside, I would not rule out that push lower. Okay, obviously it's not going to go in that straight line down like how I've drawn the arrow. I think that this push lower could see a zigzag downwards with a bit of a hesitation at about that 104 round number level, or 104.10 level. But I say in general, big strong push. We could see this push down, add on to this weakness to 104. If it breaks, could test 103.80, 780. Okay. So you see, I put it as 80 because it's 103.76. So I just left it at 103.80. All right, so we're looking at this in a minute for this to close. Will bounce a little bit, but I do think that with that strength and the momentum, we're going to see this push lower. Thank you, Signal Mark. You said done. I'm not sure done about what, but thank you. Okay, so again, two things I ask of you. I'm doing this webinar. It's totally free. There's nothing you have to do. All you have to do is turn up, right? 3 p.m. every day we'll be doing this, or weekdays. 3 p.m. on the weekdays we'll be doing this just to set you up on possible trade ideas for the day, right? Coming into the Euro Open, coming into the US Open, where I think prices could be going. All I ask of you is to help me out, click that little rocket button, and also, if you haven't already, the link is there. Follow my profile on TradingView, and also when you come across my published articles, do give me a like. The little rocket button, leave a comment. We had some comments about head and shoulders, a break of structure. We had comments about anticipating downside on the euro dollar. That's not going to. That's still could happen, but we're going to see it move higher first, right? So do check it out. Check out the views. Check out the articles. I will also be doing some educational webinars as well. So put it anywhere. Message me, drop me a message, or put it into the comments. Let me know what kind of educational help you need, as that we can do for a webinar as well. Hey, M leader, it's been a long time. How have you been? I'm going to try and do this as a daily session. M leader here in the chat used to jump onto a call with me every 11 a.m. All right, right in the day for him, early in the morning for him. So he's back here. I've done it at a more regular timing for you, 3 p.m., just so that you can wake up and also jump onto this call. I'll be the first person to speak to you when you get up. All right, so good to see you back here again, Leader. With that said, do remember the watch list is there. The watch list is there. Um, Rewatch the webinar. Drop me a message if you need any help or any questions. I'll be happy to guide you through that. So look at the dollar bouncing back up, looking for that break of that 104.40 level. All right. So with that said, I need to get back to trading, especially with okay, pound didn't close above, so it's not triggered yet. Euro dollars found that resistance, turning back down a bit. Swiss franc retraced completely. So give it a couple of minutes into the hour. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens on the dollar, especially if it breaks below 104.40. Hey, Goldstone MG. Any advice for beginning trader? I'll struggle with with technicals. Goldstone, I won't do it off the cuff now. I'll build something up. I'll do something up for you guys. Do remember next session. Join me on the next session, maybe next session, but I'll do a session for what to think about as a beginner trader. We all started as beginners. We all started somewhere. So, I've been doing this for 15 years now already. I'll be happy to guide you through that, share with you some possible ideas and pitfalls that you want to avoid. But with that said, I'll get back to you on that, Goldstone. Thank you all for attending the session. I hope you found this useful and informative. Please remember, help me out. If you're on YouTube, jump onto YouTube, click that like and subscribe button. If you're on TradingView, click that rocket, and also all the other posts that you see, click that rocket button for me. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Do take care, and I'll trade well, trade safe, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye now.